Welcome back. This morning, the Albany Pine Bush Preserve is hosting its annual Smokey Bear Day at the Discovery Center. Visitors will learn how the Albany Pine Bush Preserve Commission uses prescribed fire to keep the preserve a healthy habitat for the unusual species that thrive there. Matt and I are joined by two very special guests this morning, Forest Ranger Tyler Mitchell, and I'm sure you recognize the figure in the back, that's Smokey himself. Thank you both so much for joining us this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Let me ask you guys about this awesome event we got going on today. I mean, an opportunity to meet Smokey the Bear, sure, but also at the Albany Pine Bush, an opportunity to do some learning, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So the Albany Pine Bush is a pretty good-sized preserve, right in the heart of Albany, which is pretty incredible. 3,200 acres of inland pitch pine scrub oak barrens, which is a really unique habitat. It's not super common, all across the world. There's, maybe a dozen of them. And we have one right here in Albany. And so it's a super rare ecosystem. It's got a lot of really interesting plants, animals, everything like that. And then it's fire adapted, so we use fire to actually maintain the habitat. And of course, Smokey comes into that aspect. Just being able to work our way through and make sure that this habitat is around and continues to be here, And as you know, if you drive past the Albany Pine Bush, it looks like nothing that's around. And that's because of all of the hard work that goes into that.
Now, when families go and visit today, they're going to walk away with maybe some special items. Can you show us what you've got there, Smokey?
Yeah, so as people work their way through all the individual stations, you're going to be able to get everything stamped, and eventually, you can get different little goodies if you do everything right. And then these goodies also include a Smokey mask. We've got some coloring pieces. We have these really cool Albany Pine Bush trading cards that have some of the staff that have been there for many, many years, working very hard to maintain that ecosystem. And really the educational opportunity that you get out of all of that, and then this is just the icing on the cake. And of course, getting the opportunity to meet Smokey, take pictures with both him and I, and it's going to be a great time.
Take it from me. I've been having the time of my life this morning. You want to meet Smokey yourself, too.
You definitely do. Now, you talked about education, so we don't want to miss an opportunity to inform everyone out there about some special fire prevention tips as well as some stats. So can we pull up those full-screen graphics that have some of those on there? Yes, here we go. How wildfires in New York start. Now, according to the DEC, 95% of those are by humans and 5% are from lightning. So obviously we have a big responsibility there in taking care of our wildlife.
Absolutely. So, I mean, generally speaking, fire starts with humans one way or another, with the exception of lightning strikes, being that 5%. So it's definitely, it's a very human-driven thing, and there's a lot of ways that we can prevent a majority of these big wildfires. Even the smaller wildfires that the day-to-day fire departments are responding to, they're generally preventable. So.
And we have some tips on prevention if we want to pull those up next. I believe we have some tips about starting campfires as well. If we can pull up that next full screen. Yes, use existing campfire rings where possible and build campfires away from overhanging branches, logs, dry grass, and things like that. So people just have to use their heads when they're out there enjoying our wildlife.
Yep, that's really what it is. I mean, using those existing campfire rings definitely is a good, easy way to do that. If you're in a primitive campsite and it doesn't have a fire ring, it's important just clear out around where you plan on starting the fire. You don't want to start the fire on, open leaves and have the ability for it to just spread from there. A lot of the times, up in the Adirondacks especially, where we have a lot of that backcountry camping, a lot of those wildfires that we have are going to be out in the middle of nowhere. And that's because, somebody was back there, had a fire, didn't quite put it out well enough, and, it just expands and spreads out and, progresses.
Well, thank you both so much for joining us. I learned a lot.
Oh,
Matt,
yeah.
I know you're starstruck right now, but
seriously, if you haven't heard me talking quite as much, it's because I'm in awe. Global superstar right here, Smokey Bear. You should go out and meet him too today.
Definitely. Thank you both so much for educating us and for all you're doing for the community today with this event. We'll be right back after a short break with more news. See you in a couple minutes.